because you need to stop calling me Dr. Arjun first. Right from college days, you were our calls up. So we all know that you were going to be a professor, and we all kept calling you calls up. So it's funny to hear back you calling Dr. Arjun. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. First thing first, I want to make sure that the link I'm sending is working for all of you. You guys can give a thumbs up. Can you click on the link? Working? Okay, awesome. I see lots of thumbs up. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Okay, so Amit has given a glorious introduction, so I'll try to live up to it today. Very good morning or a very good evening based on whichever location you are. It's 6:30 p.m. in India on a Sunday. And if I can see 40 plus students joining here, I can really sense that you guys are truly inspired to listen to this. And you're really interested in doing something great with your future and career. So thank you for making the time. Here's my contact information. Again, my name, my email, and my LinkedIn profile. After the talk, if you have questions or if you want to reach out with more clarifications, you're welcome to do it in either way that is comfortable to you. So Amit had requested me to talk a little bit about my experience of doing masters in US. I kept it a little broader, said it as higher education in US. So today I'll try to give the perspectives and experiences that I had. And I also want to make this session more about you. It's more about what you guys like, a little bit of introduction to why you're thinking about this so that we can tailor it more as a conversation instead of a monologue. And that's why I'm using this platform. I hope you're seeing my very first slide, right? The introduction slide. So after sitting through this 1 hour, if there are 3 things I want you to remember, I would say these are the 3 key points, right? First and foremost, there is no template to succeed, whether it's in master's or in PhD or whatever you want to do in career. Your journey is going to be very unique. You are in control of it. You are going to chart your journey, and you can only get perspective from others. So there is no formula that I can give you or a checklist that I can give you. If you do all of those, you will get funding or you will get admission. Okay, so I want to make it very, very clear. It's going to be very, very unique to you. While you're going through this, I would say focus on the journey rather than the final result. Because like I said, it's going to be unique to you. You're going to chart your journey. The 3 major things you will get through this journey of whether you pursue masters or higher education or your career goals, you're going to get a lot of exposure. Remember that world is your playground. Do not restrict your thoughts to, okay, I can only do this, I can only do this much. A master's or a PhD is going to greatly increase your exposure. The second one is focus on the current moment, right? Sometimes we get carried away thinking a lot about what's going to happen 5 years, 10 years, and there is one question in this talk too I'm going to ask you about what you think about yourself down the line. But what it's going to boil down to is how well you're going to do in the present. The third one is never stop networking. Every place you go, every step you take, keep networking, cherish the people around you. Okay, so this will be the broadest template I would give you, and 3 key points to remember as you go through this 1 hour with me. So first thing, I want to know more about you guys. So when you go to the link that you see on the top, can you please let me know your name, where you're from? As you type, I can start seeing it. Okay, I'm starting to see certain names. Soumya from Hamirpur. Okay, Shimla, Reva from Madhya Pradesh. Okay, did I miss anyone? I'll give another minute. Okay, so I'm getting a varied audience. Everyone is typing. Yeah, I cannot read the names fast enough, but I'm very glad. I'm going to get the results. I'm going to see the names later. So thank you so much. Okay, since I see a lot of you are from different places, a warm welcome to all of you. The next thing I want to really focus on is, can you take a minute, just as an icebreaker? What's your favorite actor, a song, something that you really like, a character? Go ahead, no judgment. Tom Cruise, yeah. Tom Hanks, Moody Winds, nice. Manoj Vajpayee. Govinda and Chuck Day. That's a nice one. SRK. That's Shah Rukh Khan. That's deep. What is Ludovico? Never heard of it, but something interesting. Thank you, guys. Thank you for playing along. Really, really appreciate that. Now, the next question I had for you guys. Can you type in 3 words that describe you as a person? Or if I ask your friend to describe you in 3 words, what would that be? Okay, I see smart, introvert, leadership, learning. The word cloud is not zoning in on any particular word, or is it smart? Very nice. Patience is starting to cloud up, so a lot of people are patient here. Very nice. So from the word cloud, I see that a lot of you have chosen patience. That's a big trait that you guys have. And then the next one I see is ambivert, a bigger word cloud. And then on the perimeter, I see hardworking, leadership, hardworking. So those are all on the perimeter. That means not a lot of people have chosen those words. That's amazing. Very interesting perspective. Again, another fun question. I wanted to get to know more about you. What's the activity that gets you energized? What kind of people, crowd am I talking to? Is it, okay, cricket, music, poems, workout, dance, songs? Okay, another cricket fan, a lot of cricket fans. Dance, good sleep, football, painting. Someone wants to draw a line on the screen right now. I don't know who did this yellow line, but really funny. I don't know how to take it off, so I'm leaving it there.
We'll have to restart your presentation again, and then
no.
Okay. In case you wish to restart it, and then we can do it. We can reach this slide directly if possible, and then start from here.
So I think this is the second slot, right? 6:30. Few people might have joined now. So I'll give them a little bit more chance just to learn about the crowd here. What's the activity that gets you energized? Wow, there is one comment there saying helping society. Very, very interesting comment. So we'll come back to that one too. But a lot of people love dancing here. Cricket is a clear winner. Everybody loves playing cricket. It's a good thing. Okay. So for those of you who joined us just now at 6:30 p.m. India time, welcome. We're just doing some introductions here. Okay, I think I got all the responses. Last two questions, I promise, just to know more about you. If you were to go back in time, what would you tell your 5-year-old self? Now that you're at NIT, you're doing amazing. What would you tell your 5-year-old self? One message to them. Yeah. Worry less. No dating. Okay? Time management, enjoy and take your time. Value time. Explore the world outside. Nice. Very nice comments. Again, I see 38 participants on the slide deck, and I also see 70 on the Zoom link. For those who have just joined, please go to the website on the top. I've also sent the link on the chat box so that you can participate in what you're seeing on the screen. Okay, so as you can see, very interesting perspective, and many of them is about time, right? How to manage time, how to worry less, enjoying your time. So that's a very, very valuable feedback that you're already giving yourself. Now let's flip the question. You are close to 20 now. If I flip it and say, how do you see yourself at 40? You don't have to say anything. How do you see yourself at 40? See? It could be a state of emotion, or it could be a role that you see yourself in 40. Whatever you feel like now. Doing what I love, self-satisfied, fearless life and smile, retired, rich, satisfaction in life, enjoying life to the fullest. Okay? Successful person. Very nice. And as I and Amit are reading, this is a reflection of our present life. So, very interesting comments. Healthy bank balance, that's a good one. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Really, really appreciate it. Giving lectures on Zoom. Okay, that's a good take on me. Very nice. Thank you. Okay. So that was my very last question. Thank you so much for playing along, giving me a sense of what your state of mind is. Really, really appreciate that. So now a little bit about me. Right. So you guys have told me, what would you tell your 5-year-old self? How do you see yourself at 40? Right. So I have done both of it now. I'm at that 40 point. Right? So this is my days at REC Hamirpur. I am here because of what these 3 great individuals I want to highlight at REC Hamirpur had done to me. Right. So I was a 18-year-old lean kid from Madras landing in Hamirpur. I didn't know anything about North India. I didn't know the language. And as the time-honored tradition, my friends taught me a new language, started with the choicest words first. Very happy for them, very grateful for them. But from a mentorship perspective, you can see three people I really, really respect a lot even now, Dr. Dwivedi, Dr. Anup, and Dr. Segal. So all three of them played a significant role as mentors and influencers. When I went to Dr. Dwivedi and said in my third year, I want to do research, he didn't judge me. He didn't laugh at me. He was kind enough to give me the opportunity to do research on aluminum alloys. And to this day, I'm still working on aluminum alloys. And I still fondly remember the days that he was sitting at the lab. It was 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Some days we were melting aluminum, doing some research in our small shop. Second person, again, Dr. Segal, he was a chair, I believe, at that time. And we went to him and said, we want to go present in a scientific conference. Again, no judgment. He sent us to 2 or 3 conferences around India and said, go do it. And to get that kind of encouragement in 1998, 99, 2000, that was simply amazing. So again, very, very grateful for it. And I should also highlight Anup sir, because he was like home away from home for us. Every time in our batch we had any sort of issues, we just wanted to feel like talking to someone. His office was always open. We could just walk into his office, just talk to him, almost like family. Really, really grateful for all the mentorship these guys provided. So I still cherish those moments. On the right side, this is the most mischievous batch, in my opinion, and you can see one pulling the legs again there. All of these guys are like lifelong friends now. We still talk. We still stay in touch with many of them as much as possible. And we're really, really grateful for all the help that they provided. So, like I said, my journey started from here, went all the way to Hamirpur. I had no idea where Hamirpur was on the map. I just chose it at random. Enjoyed the life and the time there, 4 years. And then from there, I flew to Boston, near Boston in Rhode Island. And from Rhode Island, now I've crisscrossed through the country. So first I went to California, then I lived in Michigan. Now I'm living in the southeast in Raleigh. So looking back, this is my rear view of my life when I'm at 40. All I feel is like I'm a global traveler. I've been just traveling, crisscrossing from India to US, and even within US, a lot of journey there. To be specific, and Amit had touched upon this, I was in academia for my first few years after REC. From 1998 to 2002, I was at REC. Then I went and did a master's and PhD in Rhode Island, then a year of postdoc at Caltech, and then I was a professor for 6.5 years at Michigan State. And each place was geographically unique. This place was the Northeast, kind of cold. California, really hot. Midwest, Michigan, extreme cold. So it's minus 20 degrees Celsius winters. We used to have polar vortex. So didn't really enjoy it, but I spent 13 years in Michigan alone. And part of the 13 years was being a technology manager. So after spending quite a bit of time in academia, I wanted to change. So I switched over to industry, started with research and development, and I started working in Eaton on additive manufacturing, which is 3D printing, predominantly focused on metal. So did a lot of research on 3D printing and led a group of scientists as a technology manager. And just last year, or just this year, 5 months ago, I switched to Xerox, where now instead of consuming 3D printing, I am actually sitting on the other side of the table where we are making the 3D printer. So we make giant metal 3D printers that can help in making industrial quality parts. So I'm the director of part quality there. So my perspective went from teaching to being in a research and development environment where I was using additive manufacturing as a technology. Now I'm starting to build 3D printers that can help people use the technology. So that was about me. So let's ask the question, why? Why do you want to pursue a master's? And why do you want to go to US? Why do you believe this is a great path, right? So there could be multiple answers, and I just listed some of the possible options on the bottom. So if you can choose, what is your motivation? Why do you want to do this? Okay. Curiosity. Is that others drawing red lines again? Okay, again, the link on the top will allow you to actually see the presentation as well as participate in all these questions and interactive activities. Okay, I'll give it just 10 more seconds if you guys can log in and tell me why you believe this is a great path, why you want to pursue this opportunity to go to US. So as you guys can see on the screen, there are multiple reasons why you are choosing to go to US, why you believe this is a great path. One good thing I see is there is nobody in this box. That is a box I would have been there way back in 2002, no clue. But I see that all of you have some very good reasons why you want to go from here, right? So there's money, education tops the list, very good. Equally on the list is opportunity. Then comes the money part, the curiosity part, and then I see two of you escape from here and one very adventurous soul. I don't know what the others are. If you put your response in the chat window, I'll see it. But these are all different reasons that you guys are choosing, right? So that's very, very good. Again, this is a very subjective decision. There is no right or wrong. Everybody has to make the decision for yourself. So whatever the reason it is perfectly fine. So let's look into the logistics, right? So the master's and the PhD, these are one way to get into US. There are several ways. The master's is to prepare for graduate study at doctoral level. So it's almost like a sampler, the appetizer for doing a PhD. It's not really a PhD, but it gives you a flavor of what research is. And to study a field you love and to explore future employment in related area, right? So you get some specialized knowledge to advance in your field, but not a lot of specialized knowledge. On the other hand, The doctorate, when you go and do a PhD, you're really sending out the message that I'm super passionate about a particular subject. This is a subject I love, and this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. Right? And one thing that you may or may not know by now, you don't need to do a master's to get a PhD. For all those people who are saying education, specialization, you don't have to spend 2 years getting a master's. There are many, many universities that will take you directly into the doctorate program. So master's is for those who are saying, okay, money, opportunity, curiosity, adventure. For those choosing that, master's might be the right path. But if you're very clear in your mind, this is it. I want to be an expert in my field. I love mechanical engineering. I love computer science, particular area. Then think seriously about getting a doctorate. Okay. One thing I want to make really, really clear is when you do a doctorate, 9 out of 10 times, you're also preparing yourself to be in academia. So after doctorate, it's going to be postdoc, professorship, which is a natural fit. There are positions open in the industry also. There are many, many positions that will take you with a PhD. But for the recruiter, he is looking at you as somebody who has already boxed yourself into a specialized field. This is true 9 out of 10 times. There are exceptions. I've seen PhD in mechanical engineering from Caltech who end up on Wall Street doing financial analysis. That is exception. Okay. But when you do a doctorate, you're pretty much saying that this is where I want to be. I'm boxing myself into this area, right? So you will have a harder time convincing people that you can be a generalist. So it will be somewhat of a climb for people to take you into consideration to be, say, a general manager of a company. So I would highlight that. So when I came in, I thought like the more the degrees you get, the better it is for you on the resume, the better it is for you to get a job opportunity. Not really true. So again, depends on your objective. If your objective is to become a generalist, you want to be a CEO of a company, you want to be a general manager of a company, master's is far better. An MBA is far better than doing a PhD in engineering. So that's a general rule of thumb. There are always exceptions you will see, but I'm just talking about general rule of thumb. Okay. So now comes the essentials. What do you have to do to get there, right? So, and I'll walk you through this step by step. And this is my perspective. You can talk to a counselor or to a different person who has gone through this journey. He'll give you a different perspective. So the way that I list it, and today is almost November 1st, so we are kind of talking at the last minute about this. I don't know how many of you are in your 4th year, 3rd year, but I would say that the process really starts sometime in June, July, August, a little early. First thing you want to do is decide if you really want to do this, right? And I'll talk to you more about what do I mean by that. And then you start preparing a very good resume, a very good personal statement, and very good academic statement. And all the games we were playing a couple of minutes ago, they'll start to play or start to make sense to you why we are talking about all of this. And then the key part of it is the statement of financial proof that most universities will ask, that you have enough money to be in US for those 2-year duration. On the other side of the coin is a couple of, I would say, very essential steps without which you cannot get to the application. So these are all in your control. These are all in external control. So you have GRE, which many universities have waived for this year. Then you have TOEFL, test of English as foreign language. And then you have official transcripts to collect, 3 reference letters, and then a formal application for the university, which for most universities, it is due by mid-December, sometimes even earlier than that, by December 1st. Again, I'll stop here for a second. If you have any questions about this process, again, I don't know how Amit wants to handle this. You can unmute or you can put it on the chat box. As far as the overall process goes, if there is any questions, I'll stop here just for a minute.
I kept the chat box enabled, but unmuting we'll do at the very end for the question and answer session.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just catching up with the chat box. So then we will save the questions for the last few minutes then. Right? So I'll go through this step by step and I'm going to give you my perspectives. Right? Then we will open the mics and we can talk a lot more about the questions you might have. First thing, decide if you want to do this. So as again, a 21-year-old, 22-year-old, it was a very hard decision for me to think about what the implications of what I'm doing. And this is, again, my rear view mirror here. These are all the costs. If I look purely from a financial perspective, the GRE costs money, TOEFL costs money, and say if you're using a resume service, it's going to cost money. You're going to do your comprehension training for English language, a lot of time into it, application fee for colleges. You're going to travel for whether GRE or TOEFL within India. And at least in my time, I had to travel from Hamirpur to Delhi to give both the exams. There was no center near in Himachal. And that flight, then you'll have some incidental expenses. And you're also going to forego, if you're going to do masters, you're going to forego at least 2 years of your income, right? So when I graduated, I had 2 job offers. I would have been in US one way or another. Both of them were in IT, but I declined them to be doing a master's in mechanical engineering. So if you factor in all of this, I would say on the high end, it's going to be a 14 lakh investment. On the low end, I don't know how jugaad you are, you can make it as low as possible, but at least a bare minimum of, I would say, 8 to 14 lakhs you're going to spend on getting this master's or just stepping into US. Again, from a financial perspective, a very successful 40 years of career is going to make you a millionaire or a multimillionaire. $1 million retirement as of today, a $2 million, $3 million retirement is considered a successful life here, right? So if you can retire at 60 with $3-4 million, you're successful. Again, India has grown leap and bounds, right? So in our times, having a lakh is a big deal. Now, crore is a very small amount in India. So India has adopted consumerism very, very well, adopted capitalism very, very well. And why am I talking about money? Remember that US is the mecca of capitalism, right? So everything in US is quantified. It is about return of investment. It is about making sure you're getting value for your money. So return on investment is something you will hear a lot in US because success in this country is based on how fast cash flows, how much you can sell, right? Consumerism is the king here. So as far as money goes, you have to think about this. It's purely numbers. I don't know how much you're a numbers person, you'll think about it. Quality of life is something you have to define. Nobody else can define for you, right? So what do I mean by quality of life? I'll give you a simple example. Today is Halloween Day, October 31st, right? So for me, when I grew up, Diwali, Janmashtami, Holi, these were like biggest events in my life. Holidays when I enjoyed with my family, friends. But after spending 20 years here, Now it's Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Those are all like my biggest events in my life. My children also are looking forward to these kinds of events. So I have made a decision when I was 22 that has distinctively changed a lot for even my next generation. So that's the quality of life I'm giving them, which is different from what I grew up with. So that is something I wouldn't even know, but you have to define it for yourself, right? I would also say that there is an average time to get a green card or citizenship now. Since I was in academia, my process was fast, right? Oops, somebody change it. Since I was in academia, my process was fast. And the fastest process took me 18 years to get citizenship in US. So I came here in 2001. I came here in 2002. I got my citizenship, I believe, 2018. So 16 years to get my citizenship. So that's a 16-year journey. And that is one of the fastest you will see. If you're just getting a master's, there are several categories of green card process here, EB1, EB2, EB3, and I'll send you guys the link for average wait time. The wait times are ridiculous now because a lot of people want to get the green card, want to get the citizenship. So it's a very long process. It also comes with its own pros and cons. And that's what I meant. Things you gain versus things you will miss is going to depend on what kind of personality you are. If you're somebody who is very, very independent, loves being lonely, you don't need a lot of social support. US is your heaven, right? If you're very, very family oriented, you're like, I'm very close to my cousins, my mom, my dad, I cannot live without them. This place is a good place to vacation, not a place to live. Okay. So the society here is very spread. And also you got to think, you are coming here for economic opportunities. So you're going to be geographically moving quite often. And if you move, your growth is going to be bigger. If you stay in the same place, you're going to make some compromises on the salary you're going to get. But even otherwise, at 22, 23, trying to build your social circle is significantly harder than building social circle when you're young. So those are things you will gain versus things you will miss. And I want to reiterate at the last, it is never about the money. It's not always about the money. Okay. So there are multiple other things you have to think. And I don't want to sound discouraging, but if possible, talk to your mentors, talk to your professors, talk to your well-wishers, right? Why you're doing this, why you like this, right? So that'll be a good point of reference for you to decide if you really want to. So that's next, again, one of the fun questions I have, right? If you're a guy who wants to play weekend cricket very well, you're not a professional cricketer, you just want to play weekend cricket with your friends and feel good, who would you train with? Again, if you go to this website, I just want to make sure everybody is awake. Wow, unanimously choosing. Okay, there's 1, 2. Now I can see some variety. I'll open it again. Some of you were. I see some sad faces. What happened? Right. So again, the slide on the top, the link on the top, you can get to choose your options. So you get the idea, right? So in your decision making, when it's something that you know very, very well, cricket, which all of you chose, and if you want to just play weekend cricket, you would just go to your good friend I see 4 of you wanting to train with Sachin Tendulkar and Dhoni. Kudos to you guys. But that is going to be astronomically expensive for you. And the chances of them training you is going to be really, really low, right? So it's the same situation when you want to choose your university. That's a big decision point, right? So you want to do masters, you want to do a PhD, be very clear about your reasons, why you want to do it, right? And I wasn't very clear, right? There are multiple factors. There is affordability, right? Is the tuition affordable to you? Are they going to give you funding? Then the lifestyle. Am I going to live in a very rural environment, or am I going to live in a very urban environment, right? Is it going to be a big city like New York, LA, or is it going to be a small, peaceful town? So those are things you need to think about. And it really matters because when you live in a big city like New York or LA or Chicago, your sense of spending, your sense of security is very, very different. Right? There is a lot more, say, incidents happening in a big city. You get to experience a lot of events and culture in a big city. But then there is also crime happening. There is also the cost of living is astronomically high there. Whereas a very small town is very, very safe. You don't have to worry about anything. But then there is not a lot occurring around you. So you may start feel bored very, very soon. So that's an urban and a rural difference here. And the divide between urban lifestyle and rural lifestyle in US is vast. Then comes the career interest. How do you want to be accessible to the job market? This is not a big deal because usually as immigrants, when we are trying for first job, we put ourselves open to any place in US. We don't restrict ourselves. But if you're somebody who loves movie making, being in LA is based out of. If you're somebody who is in finance, then again, you want to be in a town that is fully integrated into finance. And then comes the interest to return. How soon, or if you want to return to India. If that is the case, then you will choose lifestyle as one of the major factors. And to give you from my personal experience, when I graduated and applied to universities, I got into these 2 schools. I got an admit to University of Michigan. It's in the top 10 in the country. For mechanical engineering, it was actually 1 or 2, ranked number 1 or 2. So I still have my letter of admission from Ross School of Engineering at University of Michigan. I was admitted into the master's program, but I was not given any funding. And then I got into University of Rhode Island. And the way I met this person, again, going back to Dr. Sehgal, he had organized a conference at our campus. So it was a conference that Dr. Sehgal was chairing. And I met a professor from University of Rhode Island. And I was doing a lot of organizational work there. And he saw me and he was very impressed and he offered me a spot. And he said, if you want to come and do a master's with me, for the 2 years, you don't have to worry about funding. Here is the letter, here is the funding, right? So at that state of mind, being from a middle class, for me, going and spending, what was it, $40,000 back in the day at University of Michigan was not possible. So I chose University of Rhode Island. It didn't impact my return on investment. But what I did realize is that my career trajectory would have been different. This is a special tag that you get being in University of Michigan. Particularly, if I had decided that I'm going to do PhD, stay in engineering, stay in academia, this would have been way better, right? There is no regrets, but I'm just telling you. So those are the kind of choices you're also going to make. And it's going to be very, very subjective, right? Again, I'm going on because I want to give some time for our open question and answers. So the second part of the flowchart that you saw is building a good resume. This is the very first step I had said. Again, key takeaways there. When you build a resume now, it's going to be very low in content because you're just beginning your career. You don't have to use any of these resume services. I do use them. This is a company that I use. There are similar companies in India also. A lot of my employees use this company too, because writing is a skill by itself. And you got to think and reflect your true self. Take help to write the resume, whether it's from your professors or if there are career counselors at NIT now. Take their help and get feedback from good mentors. You don't have to boast a lot. You don't have to underplay yourself. Your resume should be just 1 page or maximum 2 pages that can truly reflect who you are. Somebody reading about you should be able to understand what is your professional self, what kind of professional skill sets you are bringing to the table. Okay. Again, there are multiple companies now that can help you write it. It's not a lot of cost if you're able to afford it. So take their help and make sure you get a very good resume written up. A lot of students that I've seen during my days as a professor send resumes with basic grammar and spelling errors. That's a huge letdown. When we see that, we don't even give them a second chance because you're not paying attention to something that is most basic, right? So please don't do such mistakes. Make sure you're always using the right help. So again, if you go back to this interactive website that I'm sending again and again, I believe this is the last question I have there. I want to know which of the following have you guys done? If you can go back to this link on the top and start entering your I'm going to open the time again so that you can do more. Yeah, I see volunteering for a long period of time. A lot of you guys are doing that. I see some research at NITH, summer internship at industry. I believe your 3rd year summer and 4th year summer, you have to do a summer internship, right? That's the way it used to be, and I'm still thinking that's the way it is. I don't see a lot of summer internship. Now, so the reason I'm asking this question, right? What are the things you have already done? This is going to impact the way that you're writing your 2 statements, your personal statement and your professional statement. So you'll see that some of the questions here is geared towards your professional statement, right? So you will talk about your internship, you'll talk about your research, whether it's at NIT or at another institution, on your professional statement. And the others that you're seeing on the right side, whether you have been a significant event in the national level for extracurricular activity, whether it could be sports, dance, you're say somebody who won India Got Talent or whatever is the equivalent of that, or you have volunteered for a social cause for a very long period of time, not just you have been volunteering for 3 weeks before application, right? You've been doing that since your high school. For example, I've seen students who have spent their summers working at refugee camps, right? That's the kind of applications we get. We have students who started a peer mentoring program, peer tutoring program in their high school, and they have helped high school students be successful, not just them being successful. Those are all examples of you showing that you have pushed yourself to be looking at more than yourself alone, right? So that's where the statements come into play. And key takeaways there, I would say, is when you write those statements, please connect it back to your real life, whether it's professional or personal achievements. As a professor, as an admission committee, we are trying to look at people who are being true, who are being genuine. We don't want stories. And I know the internet is full of sample statements. And I've seen a lot of applications where it's just a copy paste because there's already a software doing the search for us. So that copying from internet, that is evident because the application package goes through that. Reflect your true thoughts. These are two questions you want to think a lot. How will you add value to the school if you're going to do master's or PhD there? And how will the school add value to you? So it's a two-way street. And if you're able to think about both the sides of the coin, it's going to help the application stronger. It's going to make the faculty think a lot about you because you are very, very clear in at least addressing the value to the school and how the school is going to help you. And if you're inclined towards PhD, you need to add a lot of research experience, right? That gives you a strong statement of your potential, that you have done undergraduate research, that you have already presented at conferences, you have made some effort in publishing at conferences, right? That is a key takeaway that you have to focus on. Particularly if you're thinking about doing PhD, you got to state it in your statement that I am thinking about PhD, right? And the last point I would say is to be a successful graduate student, these are two traits that are going to be really, really important. And that's what the professor is going to look for in you. Whether you're a dynamic personality who is able to take lead of projects with minimal supervision, right? The professor doesn't want to spend a ton of time giving guidance here in US because they have a lot of students. So what they are looking for is being able to give you a problem statement, and you are going to be able to actually work on the problem statement on your own. So that's dynamic personality. And that is very contrasting with also providing reliable results, right? So you got to be somebody who is always reliable, being able to deliver week after week, right? So that's the two things that the professor will be expecting. And these two are contradictory to each other. How well you can balance it, you need to be able to reflect it as statement. You need to be able to say in the statement that you're dynamic, as well as you are somebody who can be reliable in terms of delivering results. I think I got only 2 more slides to go, and then I'll stop and I'll talk a lot more in the Q&A forum. For GRE and TOEFL, you get a ton of advice on the internet. You have a lot of coaching centers now in India. And I'm on the left side, I'm giving you an example of my experience, right? In 2001, when I gave GRE, those were my scores. In 2017, I made another attempt. My scores went down. Another attempt, right? It came back, but not significantly different from where I was even in 2001. So what I realized is that you need at least 2 attempts of the real exam if you're not really feeling that you're getting to the score you like, okay? No more than 2. If you're getting the score that you like at the very first attempt, how do you know the score you like? There are so many preparation programs that give you mock exams. You keep taking the mock exams, you get an idea of where your verbal and quant range is. But if you go to the exam and you're not getting the same score that you are expecting, you've got to have a second attempt, right? And even in second attempt, you're not being successful, then you got to drop it. That's it. That's my philosophy. So I would say take 2 attempts of the real exam if you're not getting the real score that you're expecting. It takes a bare minimum of 4 months to prepare. That's the bare minimum. I would say a maximum of 8 months to prepare. Beyond that, if you start a year early, you may start forgetting stuff. And if you start less than this, you may not be adequately prepared. And in my time, to prepare for this verbal, the go-to approach was memorize a dictionary, which I am guilty of doing that too, right? So we were all trying to memorize the entire dictionary. Very bad idea. It's never going to get you anywhere. So rather, if you're in your second year now, first year now, start reading, and I can give you a lot of tips and pointers. Start reading some very difficult newspapers and journals, literary works, not scientific works. Literary works, because you must be already reading scientific journals that can help you expose to a different way of how the language is used. The GRE is, or even TOEFL, is not a measure of your intelligence. This is no way telling you how intelligent you are. These are timed exams, and not all of us are very good at timed exams. So please never take it too personal, and always focus on how well you can improve your timed exam taking skills. The verbal, again, I said it takes 6+ months. A lot of tips and tricks I can give you, but I don't want to cover all of them right in this particular slide. But that's a key takeaway I would give you right now. And reference letter. That's another key point that I had shown in the flowchart. Like I've been reiterating right from the beginning, your professors, your teachers right now, we are all stepping on their shoulders, right? So try to build a proactive relationship with them, make it a positive experience. Whatever you did, when you look back, you will realize that they have sacrificed their time so that we could be better, right? As a previous professor myself, I will say that the person standing in front of the classroom always assume they have your best intentions in their mind. So start working on building that relationship from year one. Be proactive, seek mentorship, and you don't want to surprise your professor just 1 month before your application and say, give me a reference letter. Most of the time, the professor is wondering, who are you? Right? Yes, you took 1 or 2 classes, but other than that, I don't know anything about you, right? So that's a very hard position for the professor to be in, because deep down, he is thinking, or she is thinking, that I need to give a good letter to this person, but I don't know a lot about this person, right? So be proactive, and right from your year 1, year 2, start building relationship with them, make it a positive experience, and so that when time comes, they are able to highlight what you have really done. And that's where your resume, professional statement, and personal statement, all of this helps. Those things are things you need to give to your professor before you ask a reference letter, so they can read through and give you a meaningful reference. And I think I'll stop there so that I give 10-15 minutes for us to talk more in Q&A. I'll stop the slide deck by reiterating what I went through in this whole deck. Your journey is going to be unique. You're doing it for exposure. Focus on the current moment and keep networking. Never stop networking with your peers, with your professors, with people who you're going to meet in your life. Okay. Amit, with that, I'll stop.
Thank you. Thank you. So nice of you. Arjun, I'll open the house for certain questions from the audience, and I believe there will be certain amount of questions. All people can go on to unmute them and ask questions from Arjun for whatever they wish to ask. There is one question in the chat box already. If I want to pursue masters in stream other than my bachelor's, can I do this?
Yes, absolutely yes. Was that Gaurav? So if you want to ask a question, please switch on your mic and camera and let's talk, right? I'm not good at chat window. So one at a time, if you want to please switch on the mic and camera, just ask your question. I'll be happy to answer. The first question you said, if you want to pursue a master's in a different field, yes, I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I applied to master's in material science, and I did get a couple of admits in material science. But you have to show, again, why you want to make the pivot and how you have demonstrated that you have enough experience in the other field that you want to do master's in, right? Whether it's through internship, whether it's through research, or whether it's through any other experience that you might have. So if it's widely different, then you're going to have a very tough time.
I have one question, please.
Yes, Afnan.
Sir, actually, I wanted to know what is the difference between doing MS in an IIT here in terms of civil engineering perspective and in MS through US in terms of money perspective.
So your question is it better to do MS in IIT in terms of money perspective?
Yeah.
From a money perspective, yes, MS in IIT is going to be much cheaper than a master's in US, right? If you get a funding, then it doesn't matter. If you don't get a funding, then MS in IIT is definitely cheaper. But what after that is important for you? Again, go back to the question why you want to do that MS, right? Are you going to do it as a stepping stone for PhD, or are you doing it just to get a better job?
Better jobs.
Yeah, better job. Then I would say it's going to be competing between whether you want to get a master's with funding in US or just do a master's in IIT there.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's a very quiet audience today. Not a lot of questions then.
Hello, sir. So what
Yes,
is a,
Richard.
yes, sir. So what is a sensible age limit up to which you can pursue PhD in the US? So upper age limit.
Rishu, excellent question. The good thing about US is a land of opportunities. There is no age limit for anything at all, right? My wife is 40. She is pursuing PhD now. She's going to graduate in the next year or two. Okay. And that is happening because of multiple reasons. I mean, she was in a PhD program with me when we got married, and then we had a kid very, very soon. So she had to quit PhD. She went out and she did a lot of consulting jobs. She worked for the state of Michigan. And then now she's going back and trying to finish her PhD. Right? And that's the point that I didn't raise in the talk too. If you're a women engineer, right? I see many women engineers here. Usually, women make the most sacrifices when it comes to career and family. And my wife made a big sacrifice. And because of her, I was able to successfully complete my PhD and go get a job. And that is not really appreciated a lot, I would say, around the world. A lot of women make sacrifices when it comes to family. And if you are a women engineer, think about it. And that's where you got to make the decisions. But there is no age limit at all.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Is that it? No questions on funding? I thought that would be the hardest issue.
Good evening, sir.
Yep.
So how can we get funding if we want to study in US?
Okay. Funding, right? Like I said, master's is viewed as a sampler for PhD. If I'm a professor, you are coming and asking me funding, and that was the very last slide I had. I will put the question back to you to think for a second. As a professor, I get a research grant. My research grant can fund 1 or 2 students. And 1 or 2 students, usually the research grants are for 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. My first preference is to get research grants for 3 years and 4 years. It's very rare that I get 1-year grants, 2-year grants, right? Most professors get 3-year, 4-year grants. And when they get it, their preference is to have a student for 3 years, 4 years, who can complete the entire research with that. So they naturally prefer funding PhD students. They don't want to spend money on master's students, right? So you need to have a very strong research background to prove that it is worth spending money on this person who's going to be there only for 2 years. And the very first year of that, the master student is going to focus a lot on courses. The research output is going to be really, really low. So naturally, for master students, the funding opportunities are limited by the department. So what you will do end up is being a TA, what is a teaching assistant. So the department will fund you for 1 year. Then the professor will fund you for another 1 year. Now, if you have done very good research in India, and I can see it in your accomplishments, that you have presented multiple conference papers, or you have even written a journal paper sometime, right? So I had a journal paper by the time I was done with undergrad. So if you're showing that kind of aptitude, then as a professor, I'll start thinking seriously about funding you for 2 years as masters.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you want to get funding from a professor, do a lot of research even now. If you want to get the funding from the department, then you have to go to departments that have enough money. Right? That's where the bigger schools come into play.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Good evening, sir. Sir, how should we start a research?
How should you start a research? Very, very good question. Again, when you're going through your engineering classes, there are certain classes that you really like, that you are naturally attracted to, that you will know by your 3rd year. And even if you're just starting your 3rd year, go have conversations with the professors you like, with the subject teachers that you like, and ask them about this question that you're asking me, what kind of research they do. Where do you see opportunities for you to actually do a small project, right? And that's the connections that you want to make. And those are the people who can best guide you in terms of getting a topic started for you. And whether they have a lab on their own, or they have a connection at an IIT nearby, or they have a connection with a professor based in US. That is your best case scenario. Then you start doing certain elements of the research across those collaborations, and then you start doing your actual research work, publishing papers, those kind of cycles start. But I would say beginning of 3rd year. And to give you an example, there are high school students who do research in professors' lab here in US to gain experience. And from very first year, every summer, undergraduate students go to the labs and start doing research.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I see Adrija.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask, sir, in this pandemic, we have online classes. So how is this research possible online?
Again, pandemic has thrown some weird situations for us. Are you guys back in school now at all?
No, sir, we have not visited the campus yet from 2 years.
Wow. Okay. So that is a tough place to be in. I think you should start getting creative in this scenario. If you're able to network, it doesn't have to be purely NIT professors. So if you guys are closer to some other research institution, and in India, there are now multiple research institutions, whether it's IIT, whether it's DRDO, whether it's Indian Institute of Science, or multiple other national labs that are showing up now. Start networking with your friends, start networking with your family, and keep asking around, do you have a friend or a family member working in any of these research institutions? And I don't know if you guys are familiar with, even literature survey is a big deal for researchers. Knowing what it is already accomplished on a certain topic is something that undergraduate students usually help out regularly, right? In engineering, or if you're a computer science engineer, being able to write the elements of the code, take one piece of a bigger code and being able to own that, that is something that is very, very important. And you can do that kind of research. But you need to start networking. Ask your friends. You will be surprised that even within your batch, there might be many of your friends whose father, uncle, or aunt, or mother, somebody is working in a research institution. And that's where you need to start. You need to start connecting with those people and ask this question: can I help in your research? Can I do something for you?
Yes, sir.
Does that answer?
But DRDO is a recognized institution and it is professional. So will it give research opportunities to undergraduates like us? I heard that we have to write GATE exam to get a research opportunity.
No, not really, not really. So there are multiple things even at your level you can do. I mean, what is your background, Rashita? What kind of engineer are you?
So electronics and communication.
Wonderful, right? So there are multiple aspects of ECE that doesn't require you to be in a lab, right? So you could be developing a controls algorithm, or it could be a special code for a subsystem that doesn't need you to be in a lab, or you could be doing a certain background research, literature survey for somebody at DRDO. The only way whether you will know they will give you the opportunity or not is by asking.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
The worst case scenario, them saying no. Yeah. What else?
So I think the questions are over, and the participants can go on to get connected with you based upon the email IDs and the various other links you have shared. So to formally thank you, may I invite Mr. Vandit, one of the student coordinators, to deliver the vote of thanks, and then we'll close the session from my end as a from friends perspective later on.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Every ending is just a new beginning in disguise. The ending of this mesmerizing session marks the beginning of many new possibilities and knowledge about a number of worldly opportunities. On behalf of Office of Dean Alumni Affairs and Resource Generation of NITH, I seek pleasure in thanking you for your presence and giving us your precious time, sir. We all are very inspired and grateful for the knowledge that you shared with us today. Without taking much more time, I would like to thank administration, management, task team, and the audience to make this session a great success. It was an honor to have you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Vandit. Thank you all for taking the time on Sunday and being here. Bye.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you. So nice of you. We are extremely grateful to you, and we'll be closing the session now. I believe that we'll be able to connect sometime later on and have a long interaction. It's so great of you to be here with us, sharing your rich experience. Thank you again. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.